This summer, I led English clubs in Southeast Asia. There was one believer there that we worked with that we just kind of were discipling her, pouring into her, showing her different ways of sharing, methods that we learned here at Nehemiah Team's training. And so she is super intentional and zealous for her own people group, which we love to see. And so we were excited to show her how to study the Bible for herself and share and do all these things. And so that was her that we knew. So we were working alongside her. There was another guy that we worked with, and he had never heard the story before when we first shared with him. And so we just continued hanging out with him, sharing different things he asked about creation. And so we shared all the days of creation with him and told him all kinds of things. But he came to a place where he really loved everything that he was hearing, but wasn't deciding anything. He wasn't realizing that he has to do something in light of this information that he's been told. And so we were just praying for him and praying for him. He was coming to our English club so faithfully, and we were like, God, we just need to show him that he needs to make a decision. He needs to decide if he's going to accept or reject you. And so we thought maybe like one of the conversations we would have would spur something, but we just kept praying and sharing. And then one day he brought his childhood best friend to meet with the two boys on our team, and they hung out. They went to a famous landmark and spent the day there, got to know him. They shared a little more with the guy that we had been meeting with, and his friend who they had never met before didn't speak much English. And so they were like, you know what, why don't you join your friend and come to English club tonight? And so they came that night. One of the guys that was working from our team with that group, he started sharing, and he was like, you know what? And he turned to the believer girl that I mentioned earlier, who was really zealous for her people. He was like, why don't you share, since you speak the language and you love your people? Like, why don't you take it away? Because he's going to understand way better. And so she starts drawing 3 circles that we learned here, and she starts explaining it to him. And our teammate's just sitting there, not knowing what's going on, just waiting. And all of a sudden she looks over, she goes, he wants to believe. And that's it. Like, Matthew was waiting for like, but, and then blah, 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 but it didn't come. And so she just said he wants to believe. And so that was totally unexpected answer to prayer, because we had been praying for his friend who we'd been working with, that he would see that he needs to make a decision. And so we thought maybe we'd share the gospel one more time and he would realize, oh yeah, I need to figure this out. But his childhood best friend, who we'd met that morning, coming to Christ that night, showing him, hey, this requires action. This message calls you to respond. Just getting to see all the different groups of people that we worked with, the believers who needed discipling, the believers who had it down, the people who had never heard, the people we had just met, all coming together in this one big storyline of how God has been at work. That was really, really special to me.